capital city of the Selçuk state. A city of science, art, and culture since the 13th century. Fine people have always been raised on the fertile lands of Konya, and Holy Mevlana is the most important among these people. Mevlana Celaluddin was born in 1207 in the city of Balkh. His family came to Karaman, Larende, in 1222. A few years later, they moved to Konya, accepting the invitation of the Selçuk Sultan, Alaeddin Keykubad. When his father, Bahaeddin Veled, passed away, he was buried in the rose garden of the Selçuk palace. The Mevlana Dergah, or Dervish Lodge, which became a complex of religious buildings over time, emerged just from this rose garden. Mevlana took wings to eternity on Sunday, the 17th of December, 1273, and was buried where his tomb is located today, at the head of his father's grave. The resume of his lifespan is of these three words: I was raw, cooked, and then burned. He considered that everybody should understand each other and see with tolerance as the principles of his boundless intelligence, and often emphasized that his lifestyle was based on the points of the Holy Quran and the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He conceived of the day of his death as the Sheb-i Arus, that is, the day of the wedding, thinking that in the moment of his death he would be reunited with his beloved Allah. The programs held in Konya in December every year are the commemoration ceremonies devoted to him, known as the Sheb-i Arus. The Kubbe-i Hadra, the green dome, 25 meters high, rests on four thick columns called elephant feet, and was built by the architect Bedrettin of Tabriz in 1274. The lodge, which expanded around the tomb over time, reached its current size because annexes were continually being added to it. The Mevlevi Lodge and the tomb were converted into the Konya Antique Arts Museum in 1926. It was reorganized in 1954 and took the name Mevlana Museum. One enters the museum through the main gate, or Dervishan, or Dervish's gate. The names of the other gates are the Kustahan gate, the Chalebihan gate, and the Hamushan gate. After entering through the Dervishan gate, there are 4 chambers or dervish rooms on the right and 14 on the left. Sultan Murad III had the existing rooms built. 2 of these rooms are displayed with their original furnishings still inside. One is the Mesnevihan or Mesnevi chanters. In other chambers, there are sections where historical Turkish carpets and Turkish fabrics are exhibited. A fountain for ablutions that Yavuz Sultan Selim ordered constructed gives a sensation of coolness in the garden. There is also an elegant salsebil, a tiered ornamental fountain in the garden, which creates a feeling of tranquility with its gentle splashing. The Mevlevi teachings were developed primarily in Anatolia, yet spread throughout the Balkans, Cyprus, Northern Africa, and the Arabian Peninsula. Konya was the center. The Mevlevi dervish lodges were centers of learning, where music, the fine arts, and the principles of Islamic mysticism were taught. Since the matbaa, the kitchen, is the place where Mevlevi candidates received the most training within the 1001-day ordeal period, it has been called as the place where people are cooked. This is also the place where the food was cooked and eaten. In a small section of the matbaa, there is a bench on which a sheep's pelt has been spread. The nominated candidates who desired to enter the Mevlevi order would sit here on their knees for 3 days and think deeply over what had happened. If they decided at the end of these 3 days to join the order, the ordeal that would last for 1001 days would begin. Shoes would be placed in the shoe shelf under the bench, their tips pointed towards the inside. If the senior dervish responsible for the disciples changed the position of the tips of these shoes towards the door, this would mean you have not been accepted into the lodge. The second section is furnished in wood. Disciples receive sema training here. This training starts with sema practice nail. The whirling practice is started around the nail placed in between the toes of the left foot. Salt is poured in order to prevent the foot from being hurt and for easy turning. The right hand is opened palm upwards and the left hand is turned palm downwards. This posture means we are only a means. We receive from God and transfer it to the human being. The conical felt hat of the dervish represents his tombstone. His wide-skirted garment represents his death shroud, and his long outer garment represents his grave. Since the Quran used to be read in this room, it is called the Tilavet chamber. At present, this chamber is being used as the calligraphy section, and magnificent examples from the art of calligraphy are being exhibited here. A silver door, which virtually resembles the cover of a book, welcomes us on the eastern wall of the Tilavet room. When we enter through the silver door, we reach the tomb hall called Huzur-i Pir. One of the domes covering the tomb is the Green Dome, and the other two are the Qubab-ul-Aqtab, meaning the domes of the poles, where the graves of the relatives of Mevlana and senior Mevlevis are located. There are a total of 31 graves in this section. The marble sarcophagus of Mevlana is on a platform with a silver, elevated platform, which has been separated from the hall by a silver cage. It is covered with a quilt of black satin over leather on which verses of the Quran were embroidered with gold thread, displaying the best in the art of calligraphy. Next to him lie his father, Baha'eddin Veled, and his son, Sultan Veled. The sarcophagi of the brave men of Khorasan also constitute attractive elements of the museum. The brave men of Khorasan were dervishes who came from the city of Balkh with the family of Mevlana. A copper April bowl with rooster figures is at the foot of the graves of the sacred Khorasan men. When the rains of April, which are considered to be sacred by Mevlevis, start, the rainwater would be collected in large pots in abundant quantities. Prayers would be read over this water, and it would be handed out to the houses of Mevlevi leaders and town notables. Within the glass cabinets in the Semahani, the place where the whirling ritual is performed, there are many valuable handwritten works of art, such as the oldest handwritten manuscripts of the Mesnevi and the gold-illuminated Divan-i Kebir. There is clothing that belonged to Mevlana, Shams, and Sultan Veled, and belongings that represent the Mevlevi culture, such as prayer beads, musical instruments used in Mevlevi music, and other such items displayed. The Sakal-ı Sharif, hair from the beard of the Prophet Muhammad, the prayer rug of Mevlana, some lodge belongings, valuable examples of rugs and prayer rugs, and again, very valuable handwritten works of art are being exhibited in the Mesjid, or small mosque section next to the Semahani. This is a call that has continued for centuries. Konya is calling us. Mevlana is calling us. They are calling us to give in to the Creator, to peace, and to love. Come, come, whoever you are, come again. Even if you are an unbeliever, a Mazdian, or an idolater, still come. Our lodge is not a lodge of despair. Even if you have broken your vows 100 times, still come.